I've been on Instagram for almost 5 years, YouTube for 4 years, and people ask me all the time, do you have any advice for visiting this park or that park? Every park has a different game plan, but there's a general set of rules that seem to apply everywhere. Let me open my brain and spill everything out. This is how you maximize your day at a theme park. If you're interested in my advice on coaster road trips, I made that video a couple years ago. I'll put that link down below. That has more to do with hotels, time spent at a park, time spent between parks, how many people to travel with, stuff like that. This video is more about one day, one park. How can you get the most out of your day and spend the least amount of money? So let's start with park admission. How do you know if you should get a one-day ticket or spring for a season pass? Sometimes this is obvious. If it's an independent park and you're going to be there once, get the one-day ticket. You might even find a discount ticket online if you buy in advance, or you can find something on Groupon. Generally, a season pass will pay for itself after 2 or 3 visits, no matter what park you're talking about. If it's a chain park, you might want to consider getting a pass that'll get you into all their parks. It will cost you extra, but if you're planning on going to more than one park in the chain and visiting any of their parks 3 or more times, this will be worth it. So if your home park is Kings Island, but you want to go to Cedar Point, I would get the Cedar Fair Platinum Pass. Same with Six Flags. If your home park is over Texas, but you want to check out Fiesta Texas, get the Extreme Pass. Also consider parking. These top-tier passes always include parking, so you'll save some extra money there. For other parks, it's more complicated. The ones that come to mind are SeaWorld and Silver Dollar City. When I bought my Platinum SeaWorld Pass in 2019, it came with a lot of free tickets. I paid $180 for that pass, and I was able to take my wife and Sophie to the park for free. That was actually cheaper than buying 3 one-day tickets. Plus, I got preferred parking, more tickets to use later in the year, and access to all the SeaWorld parks in the country. In that case, it was a no-brainer even if I only visited once. Silver Dollar City is very similar in the way they shower you with free tickets throughout the year. Once you're in the park, there's 2 ways to tackle your day. You can go all natural, or you can go with the Flash Pass, or Fast Lane, or Quick Queue, whatever the park calls their paid skip-the-line system. Whether or not you need this depends on the park and the day of the week. That's obvious, but it also depends on what you want to accomplish. Let's start with the all-natural approach. If you do this on a busy day, getting there when the park opens is very important. You probably want to minimize your time getting into the park, so buying tickets online to avoid the ticket booth is a good idea. No matter how busy the park is, if you're one of the first people in the park, you can ride a lot of stuff before the lines start to fill up. I went to Busch Gardens Williamsburg on a Saturday during spring break, and I rode everything without waiting in the first 2 hours. After that, the lines were horrendous. We used that time to eat and get photos and video. This option is really good if you don't care about riding everything a bunch of times. I used to want to do that, but with my Instagram and YouTube channel, I need time to shoot and film. When the lines are all an hour plus, that's a good time to get that done. For most parks, I'm good riding everything once, and then trying to squeeze in another ride on the best coasters later on. Another great way to avoid crowds is hitting a park on an off-season weekday. This really isn't an option for most parks, but in California and Florida, you have a lot to pick from. Just beware, the parks save these slow times to take the rides down for maintenance. Also, watch out for days when school happens to be out. Spring break is all over the place, so if you check the park hours and see it's closing later than 6 p.m., they're probably expecting bigger crowds. I've made that mistake a few times with Knott's. If you can't skip the lines, how do you know which ride to hit first? There's 3 ways to look at it, and sometimes these overlap. First, you might want to hit their newest or most popular ride. This will probably have a long line all day. You can bypass that by riding it first. Second, you might want to ride the coaster with the worst capacity. This may not be the one that people are rushing for, but the line moves so slow you'll get stuck in it later. Wild Mouse coasters seem to have this problem. Same with low capacity launch coasters like Skyrocket 2s. When I went to Carowinds, I rode Nighthawk first. Not only is this ride right in the front of the park, so people naturally go there first, it has really slow dispatches. It's the same reason I went straight to Pandemonium at Six Flags St. Louis, and Wonder Mountain's Guardian at Canada's Wonderland. I also recommend doing this for Daredevil Dive at Six Flags Over Georgia. The third method is to ride the most important coaster first. This is the reason you came to the park. In general, this is the method I take. You just never know what's going to happen. The ride could break down 2 hours into the day and never reopen. There could be a storm that rolls in and shuts down the park. The park could even lose power, and that ruins the whole day. This just happened to me at Magic Mountain. I never got to ride Twisted Colossus or X2. If you're there to ride something, I think you should just ride it. You don't want that regret if you wait too long. No matter if you have a Fast Pass or not, riding your most important coaster is a thing to do. But with the Fast Pass, your strategy changes a lot. First, how do you know if you need a Fast Pass? This is something I've had to figure out the hard way. I used to buy these way too far in advance, scared they would sell out. Unless the park is jam-packed, it's probably not going to sell out. One time I even emailed Cedar Point on this. They told me the only time it happened was on the 4th of July. If you buy too far in advance, you could have bad weather, and that'll either shut the park down or drive the crowds away. This happened to me at Cedar Point last year. I was gonna buy the fast lane, but I waited, and because of the morning storms, the park wasn't even crowded. I would recommend getting some level of fast pass if you're visiting a huge park during the summer, weekday or weekend, and any mid-sized to large park on summer weekends. The same applies for spring break and any kind of Halloween event they have. Your best bet is waiting. You can always buy a pass midday if you need to. If you know the weather looks good and you're going to a big park on a Saturday, you're probably safe buying it in advance. I did this with Carowinds last year and it was definitely worth it. With the Fast Pass, you don't have to worry about low capacity rides or popular rides. You can ride as much as you want all day. Just consider any restriction the pass has on their newest rides. Six Flags usually only lets you ride those once. Also, watch out for rides that aren't included on your pass. When I have a Fast Pass, those are the ones I like to hit first to avoid waiting in line. At Kings Island, you're gonna want to do this with the Bat. At Magic Mountain, you can't use your pass on Superman. At Cedar Point, it's Iron Dragon. Look at the list of rides offered and compare it to the coaster list. You can make your game plan from there. My next piece of advice is watch what you eat. A lot of greasy food combined with rough or intense coasters don't mix. Airtime literally suspends your insides in midair. Just beware of that if you're riding on a full stomach. But seriously, let's talk about the dining pass. This used to be a much better deal at Six Flags and Cedar Fair parks. Nowadays, not as much. For Six Flags, you can buy a 4 or 10 meal plan, and that adds up to about $8 to $10 per meal. That's a very small discount. I guess it's worth it if you're a group of 4 looking for somewhere to eat for that day. I'm talking more about the unlimited plan that Cedar Fair offers. You could get a park-specific plan for about $100 at the seasonal parks. For Knott's that's open every day, it's $145. If you want to get one for all Cedar Fair parks, it's $155. You really have to do the math. How many times are you visiting a park in that chain this year? If it's your home park and you go a couple times a month or more, it's probably worth it. Otherwise, you'd have to use it about 15 times just to break even. I have also found that dining plans can get in the way of your fun at a park. You feel like you have to stop and eat to redeem your pass, even if you don't want to eat at the time. If you don't have it, you can spend more time having fun at the park, and you can just eat outside the park, and that'll probably be cheaper and better. You also need to be careful what you bring to a park. Every park has different loose article policies, and that will vary ride to ride. Sometimes you get lucky at parks like Six Flags Fiesta Texas or Knott's Berry Farm. You can stash all your stuff in the station of every ride. On the other hand, you have a park like Islands of Adventure or Six Flags Great Adventure. You need a locker for all the best rides, and this is a locker for everything. There's no way around it because you have to carry the basic essentials. There is a middle ground that you can actually plan for, and you find these mostly at Cedar Fair parks. You'll find that rides like Fury 325, Intimidator 305, Millennium Force, Top Thrill Dragster, a bunch of others. If you have a backpack, a purse, an umbrella, you can't put that in the station. If it fits in your pocket, then fine. Otherwise, you need a locker. If you can't avoid carrying stuff that doesn't fit in your pocket, you might want to consider it. For Cedar Fair parks, when you buy the drink plan, they give you a choice between the plastic bottle or to get a paper cup every time. Because of policies like this, I chose the paper cups. It's easier to carry drinks around if you have the bottle, and it's a lot less wasteful. But it's very convenient not to be saddled by the bottle. So if you're not going to bring a backpack or a purse, fanny packs seem to work well. If you're like me and would never want to wear a fanny pack, you gotta have zipper pockets. Buttons and Velcro also work, but those still make me nervous. I have a feeling those could come flying open on crazy rides. With zippers, you know your stuff is safe. Losing your phone or wallet, or especially your car keys, that's a nightmare. I would invest in shorts or pants with at least 2 zipper pockets. And if your wife is good at sewing like mine is, you can get your side pockets to zip shut also. Last tip, for all you coaster enthusiasts. Kiddie coasters are cheap and easy ways to boost your credit count. If you're like me, I'm down to ride a kid's coaster, but I do not want to wait in line for it. That's not only embarrassing, you're also taking away a seat from a kid. If you're gonna do this, I recommend you do it early. Do it before the park gets crowded. No judgment from me. I can't speak for others, but not for me. Let's apply this to 2 parks I'm very familiar with. We'll start with Magic Mountain. When I get there, I'm going straight to West Coast Racers. It is the farthest coaster from the front of the park, but as the newest ride, it gets a long line. That being said, when Wonder Woman opens, you're gonna want to go there first. I would then walk up the hill and ride Superman. That line gets long and the capacity isn't good. Go down the stairs and ride Tatsu next. That's also still very popular and it seems to have slow dispatches. X2 doesn't seem to draw the same crowd it used to, and with 2 trains, the capacity isn't bad. You can hit that later. Twisted Colossus is very popular, but with its usual 3-train ops, the line goes very fast. If all you want is a Twisted Colossus marathon, you can ride it pretty much line-free for the first 90 minutes the park is open. Full Throttle is in the front of the park, so it's best to hit that later when the crowd starts to spread out. Rides like Apocalypse, Viper, Scream, Revolution, Ninja, Gold Rusher. Those don't get big lines unless the park is crazy crowded. You can really ride those whenever. Riddler's Revenge has a single rider line you can use if you need it, and Batman has pretty good capacity. If you're interested in flat rides, Krasanity is very popular, so you want to squeeze that in early. As for Drop of Doom, you can probably do that whenever you have the chance. This might even have a single rider line once in a while. For Knott's Berry Farm, it's a much smaller park, but everyone runs right to Ghost Rider when the park opens. If you get there on time, do that right away. If you're even 15 minutes late, don't bother. you're best off coming back later. The line won't get short, but it won't be as bad midday. The good thing is, Accelerator and Hang Time don't have much of a line for the first part of the day. You can get some pretty good early marathons on those. Sierra Sidewinder's line can get long, so you may want to hit that early. The Timber Mountain Log Ride is also very popular. You can hit that in the morning. Aside from that, the other rides either don't draw big lines or they have good capacity. Knott's has a lot of coasters with a short ride time, so that definitely helps the capacity. The most important thing to remember about Knott's is how to approach Ghost Rider. That line gets huge and it doesn't move all that fast. You aren't going to get the best ride early, but I would get that quick one first and then wait later for the ride to warm up. If you can get the last ride of the night, there's not a lot of coaster experiences better than that. Ghost Rider also has a single rider line that's open sometimes. I haven't seen it open since COVID, but it does work pretty well when they're using it. Back in early 2020, I was able to skip a 90-minute wait and got put in the back row. That's like winning the lottery. That's all I have for now. If you have any other questions I didn't address here, let me know in the comments below. This isn't really related to maximizing your day at the park, but if you can, take pictures and video of the stuff around you. That's going to be amazing to look back on in the future, and you may regret not doing it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new here and love coaster content, please consider giving me a sub. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my baseball channel if you're psyched for the new baseball season like I am. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.